Oh, it's looking good. Coffee's flowing. It's time to get going.
Hey, welcome back to Questions Over Coffee. My name's Kevin Smith. It's good to see you again. Want a cup of coffee? Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss anything that's coming up on Questions Over Coffee. If you have a comment or a question, leave in the section below. We'll get to it just as fast as we can. Today's question is, how do we know that we can trust God? I mean, after all, we can't physically see Him with our eyes, right? I would argue that we know that we can trust God based on His track record. It's the same reason that we know that our spouse loves us, or hopefully at least, that our kids know that their parents love them, or again, hopefully at least. It's based on what has been done for them in the past. Can they trust? Can we trust the things that we or they are being told? It's when we look at God, the answer to can we trust His promises is yes, because all of the promises that He has made in the Old Testament, we saw come into play in the New Testament if it wasn't already completed in the Old Testament. And the promises that we saw made by Jesus in the New Testament, the only ones that have yet to be completed are the promises for the end of time, where He comes back and takes His people to be with them forever, with the Father forever. But don't take my word for it. Let me point you to a couple of passages. What we're going to look at is Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1 through 3. Let's go ahead and read that together. Therefore, since we have so great a cloud of witnesses surrounding us, let us also lay aside every encumbrance and the sin which so easily entangles us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of faith, who for the joy set before Him endured the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. For consider Him who endured such hostility by sinners against Himself, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. Now, the previous chapter, in chapter 11, what the Hebrew writer does is he gives a lot of examples of people who believed that God was good for His promises and did amazing things. But here's what he says, though, in Hebrews chapter 11, verses 13 through 16. Let's go ahead and read that as well. All these died in faith, without receiving the promises, but having seen them, and having welcomed them from a distance, and having confessed that they were strangers and exiles on the earth. For those who say such things make it clear that they are seeking a country of their own. And indeed, if they had been thinking of that country from which they went out, they would have had opportunity to return. But as it is, they desire a better country, that is, a heavenly one. Therefore, God is not ashamed to be called their God, for He has prepared a city for them. Okay, so the Hebrew writer has already used Abraham as an example. Abraham had left his hometown and had traveled where Yahweh was going to tell him to go, but when Abraham dies, there's still, he's seen the land, but he has not actually owned the land. The only thing that Abraham owned was the cave at Machpelah that he buried Sarah in. But beyond that, he did not own. He was a traveler his entire life, it seemed. Now, these folks, Abraham and Sarah, had not actually received the promises like, they're holding the water bottle in their hand kind of thing, but they saw and they believed that God was good to those promises, that he would deliver. How did they know this? Well, God had already done some amazing things. In the previous couple of verses, in 11 and 12, the Hebrew writer records for us that Abraham and Sarah were both, old, and yet they were able to conceive and give birth to Isaac. Now, this was not the first thing that God had done for them, but still, they could look at that promise and that fulfillment and say, okay, he's able to do this. That land that he's promising us, that home that he's promising us is good, is coming, is ours. And they knew that God was good for whatever he was going to promise to them. You and I can look at the promises in the Old Testament, whether it be the messianic promises that God was going to bring a Messiah to redeem the people and to teach the people and to ultimately die and be resurrected. Or you're looking at promises of Jesus' second coming in the New Testament. We know that we can take it to the bank because his track record says, yes, we can trust him. Yes, he does love us. Yes, he is good to his word. And we do not need to doubt that. So I have a question for you. How did you know that you could trust God? I gave you my answer as far as looking at his track record. How did you know? How did you make the decision of, yes, I can trust him? Leave me a comment in the section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss anything that's coming up on Questions Over Coffee. Thank you for our time together today. I look forward to the next time. Keep pressing forward.